Mikel, today marks 2 years since he took charge of the club. If I take you back to the morning of December the 20th, 2019, can you remember what your emotions were? Were you nervous, excited?
Probably
What was
what I'm
running through
doing
your
now,
mind?
a smile on my face. Very, very excited, a huge privilege, and full of gratitude for the opportunity that I was given at the moment.
How would you describe those 2 years? I know it's very, very difficult to sum up what's happened over the last 2 years, but how would you describe the journey? And are we where you wanted us to be after 2 years?
Well, it's been an incredible journey, and I'm really happy and proud with the company that I had in the journey. I would say that we've been through a different phases throughout those 2 years. A phase where straight away you need to pick up results and try to turn around the situation that we were in. Then we had the two trophies, which was a big lift and great memories. Apart from not having the people and our supporters with us to try to enjoy that one. And then a year where we had everything. We had COVID, we had so many changes around the club from top to bottom, and a really difficult one to manage with some difficult moments and finishing the season in a really strong way. And then now, like a new phase, when we start to rebuild the team, we take a very clear direction of how we want to move forward with the club. A real connection between team and supporters and ownership and boards, and I think now is excitement to keep driving this project forward, to keep working with this really young squad. But ready to compete and get better and take the club back to where it belongs.
Just mentioning that young squad, one of the young members that you spoke about is Gabby Martinelli. You've spoken recently about him wanting to add more gears to his game. I know Pep Guardiola said something very similar about Phil Foden a few years ago. What exactly do you mean by that, and how will that benefit him?
That you cannot play every action 100 miles an hour. It's impossible. It's not beneficial for you because you burn yourself after a few minutes, and then you're just chasing situation and not reading exactly what is needed. And Gavi is doing much better at that. We have to try to do that without losing the passion, the energy, and this capacity that he has to affect the game just with the way he acts on the pitch. He trains incredibly hard. He's always willing to do more, and he's not scared, afraid of taking risk, and that's what I like about him.
When you see him when he's running at 100 miles an hour, he's got a touch of the Luis Suarez, Alexis Sanchez, something about him where he just doesn't let defenders stop, does he? He harasses them basically. How much of a nightmare is that for if you're a player to have someone like that who just won't let go of you?
I can imagine you're not going to have any time on the ball. Every time the ball is 50-50, he's going to go and chase it. He's going to use his body, his speed, his technical ability to get away from you, and you have to be careful because he can attack you 1v1, he can attack your back, he can make movements of the ball. He's a real threat in front of goal.
Just moving on, I wanted to ask you about how difficult your job currently is with the COVID situation that's raging across the UK. I mean, as a manager, it must be next to impossible. You don't know if a game's going to go ahead.
I think it is very difficult for everybody. It's difficult for yourself. The way you have to do your work is very difficult. In this case, for example, for Binay, because he's dealing with a lot of meetings, a lot of responsibility, try to defend the interests of the club in the right way. It's difficult for the players, for myself, for the staff, because we don't know really who is going to be available to do what, and we're all trying to help each other and get the best out of the situation and respect the decision that I made, because we have to believe that those decisions are based first of all on the well-being of all of us that we are involved, and secondly because obviously we have to protect the game, and that's important as well.
What practically have you had to do? Have you had to do something, take a different approach over the last couple of weeks, bearing in mind how quickly things are spreading?
Listen, have a really positive approach and your mindset ready that unpredictable things are going to happen, and stop complaining about everything that happens. One more, and then you find excuses. We can find excuse to anything. We know it's going to happen. We know that bad news are going to come probably. So we have to expect them, and we have to try to prevent them, of course, if we can, with all the protocols that we have. But we have to be prepared as well to have plan B, C, and D.